Welcome to the Healing Bitch podcast. I'm Jackie Ortez, a psychic medium that has a penchant for all things spiritual. During this time with me, we will explore the world of energy and how it affects us all. Each podcast will address a question submitted from my listeners that I feel I have the authority to answer. So get comfy, throw on your headphones, and let's see what happens.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So we're here with Alysha Parker now. We've actually known each other for 12 years. We started working at we were working at a company in New York City together, and we bonded over the law of attraction. Actually,
I remember when you bought me or you brought the book and I ended up buying it, or I borrowed it.
The Secret.
It wasn't The Secret. It was to experiment to test.
Oh, E Squared by Pam Grout.
Yeah.
Love that book. If you guys want to test and play with the law of attraction a little bit, that's a really good book to do. And it shows you truly what you think of and what your mind thinks of. It shows up in the universe. But last time we saw each other, it was the summer of 2022, and none of your current life was even happening.
No, it's a different life, or the end of an old life transitioning into the now. Summer of 22. I think it was like May or June.
I think it was June, because it was a company meeting that I was on, and we had dinner because I was supposed to go to dinner at the top of One World Trade, but I refused to dine on a grave. So
I support this message.
But yeah, I told my company no. I was like, absolutely not, guys. I stood up for myself, which is what everybody should be doing. But anyhow,
100%.
Let's talk a little bit about how you manifested this beautiful life in Sweden.
Well, it's still the start of a new life. It's still a journey. There's never an end. But yes, it's very, very beautiful. It's going to become more beautiful. Honestly, it really started in 2020, like in terms of calling in change or recognizing that things weren't working. The squeeze of 2020, I think we all know what I mean by that, when everyone was under all the pressure of the world and thinking the world's going to end. It really forced me to reevaluate my life. And I think for a lot of people too. Of course, when we're in a pressure cooker, all of a sudden we see the light or things we need to change. So it started with my relationship, job, my environment, to a certain capacity. I didn't move, but I definitely revamped my apartment, my environment, and just really honing into more of the divine feminine. I was hyper masculine in terms of I need to control this. I need to take charge. I can do it on my own. I can do it by myself. I'm an independent woman, all that whole narrative. And I realized, hold on, there is power in softness. Why am I limiting myself to this idea that I can't be soft and still get what I want? Why do I feel like I need to be in charge all of the time? Why do I feel like I need control? And it usually is trauma response.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I was going to pipe in and be like, trauma.
Yeah. I mean, growing up with a single mother who really had to do everything on her own, a father figure who was not a figure at all, and was a narcissist, womanizer. These things, especially when you're young and you don't understand relationships, but they still imprint such an impact on the subconscious that affects your relationships as an adult, whether you realize it or not. And I started to recognize that so much. So yeah, it was a mix of me then embarking on, all right, I'm going to actually now lean into my divine feminine energy. I'm going to do the things that I want. And it really started with this mantra where even before I broke up with my ex in my previous relationship, which was 7 years, by the way, I started to say, I am choosing. I am choosing this relationship. I am choosing this job. I am choosing to live here. I am choosing not to eat healthy today. I am choosing to watch this afternoon. Everything that I was doing, I said I am choosing, and I would feel into how that felt. After I would say that, how did that make me feel? Every day, the emotion of just every day I would start to feel more intense emotion around the same particular mantra, and particularly for my previous relationship. Every time I said I'm choosing this relationship, I would feel like I was getting sick to my stomach. I would get tight in the chest, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And like word vomit, I'll never forget this. I'm making dinner, and as I'm doing it, I'm saying I'm choosing to make dinner for this man who is my boyfriend. This is my relationship. I am choosing this. And as I'm cooking and everything together, I'm just getting angry. I feel like this like burning emotion in my chest. I go to sit down and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" He finally noticed something was wrong. And like word vomit, I was like, "Yeah, I want to break up." It didn't even have no other context, nothing. So when you start to say mantras like this, because I don't believe in forcing myself to feel something, I want to know what I am feeling and then be aware of that and choose from there. So the more I started to say I am choosing, there was a level of accountability that it was forcing upon myself to feel, not just to, okay, I can see that I'm with someone, but our body is a biological computer. It's not just there to just do, especially when you're trying to lean into the feminine more. You gotta feel. You can't be afraid. And from then on, I just kept repeating that with so many other aspects of my life, and things were changing, dissolving, opportunities then would pop up to replace. I started to dive more into myself, love myself, and I can go into more of like a step-by-step process on what I did, because I do think we need some practicality here. It's not just visualizing or anything. But yeah, that's really what took it off, was this I am choosing mantra that I actually got from Lori Ladd. She's on YouTube, she's on Instagram, she's a great spiritual teacher, so you might want to check her out. But yeah, that really started to catapult me into higher states of being. If it wasn't for that, it would have been a much slower process.
And I like that you say the I am choosing, because there's so many times in our life, and we're all guilty of this, as like, I have to. Instead of I am choosing, it's like, no, I'm obligated. No, I have to. But we have to. It's interesting when you give yourself over to like energy or spirituality. Like it's like you have to let go of control, but you have to take accountability, because we are the problem and we are the solution. So I am choosing plays right into that.
Yep. I think, and this, so I am choosing also, it steps into kind of like that first step, which I call self honor, because the accountability, it gives this undertone of, you're taking accountability for something that you're doing willingly to yourself. Is it honoring who you are? So that's that conflict rather than self-love, because self-love to me is got a little too poppy. Like, yes, you can go to the spa, yes, you can get your nails done and all that, but that's not
true self-love.
No, it's not. It's if anything, they're usually it's a band-aid. It's a distraction. So yeah, in the spiritual community, it has to get deeper. It has to, you're playing in the field, and the field, whether it's quantum field, you want to call it universe, whatever phrase you want to use, is so neutral and so loving that if you say, I have to do this, it's going to say, okay, well, if you think you have to do that, go ahead. It's
We're going to give
neutral.
you more of it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If you believe in that idea, if you're buying into that, if that's how you consider honoring yourself, okay, we're here to support you. The universe is so loving. We are not going to steer you in another direction if that's what you are telling yourself. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but we're going to go into the truth of manifestation, because it's been watered down. It absolutely has. And I am a big believer in, I love vision boards and I love stuff like that, because it's a reminder. I make myself a bingo sheet every 2025 of 9 goals I'm going to do for the year that are attainable though. And one's like a reaching goal, but it's not just putting pieces of pictures and words
Yeah,
on a board. There has to be action as well, and alignment
absolutely.
as well to those things that you want. So,
And sometimes you don't even know what you think you want. Is that really as good as it can get? Did I think
mhm.
I was going to end up in Sweden and getting married in a castle in July?
Oh
Did I
my
think
God.
that was going to happen? Did I put that on my vision board? No. But the universe comes through and is like, if you just trust, we can really make this to your actual highest potential, what you really truly deserve. So yeah, 100%. So just to get into the law of attraction, it's going beyond just visualizing. I think if anything, emotions is number one. And I think of Abraham Hicks when I say this, the vortex.
Mm.
Are you in the vortex? And I would listen to her doing my walks in the morning. And I'm like, where the hell is my vortex? What are you talking about, lady?
It's within you. It's within you.
But as time went on, I completely got it. So I would say if I had to break down the law of attraction into a way that is attainable for us, because we have to meet the universe halfway. This is a co-creation situation. You can't just say, give me this and I'm going to think positive thoughts only and bypass and just expect it. No, you can't fake your frequency. You can't fake it to the universe. It knows when you're faking it. And it honors you and it rewards you when you're actually doing the work. So, the first one I would say is definitely self-honor. Like, you have to take accountability for your situation that you're even in right now. If you're single, if you're broke, if you hate your job, whatever, stop blaming everybody else. Stop blaming the ex. Stop blaming daddy. You are giving away so much of your power when you do this. You're only reinforcing and then creating more resistance. So no matter what you do beyond that point, in terms of changing your reality, getting a new apartment, changing your job, moving to another state, nothing's going to change in your life. You're not going to manifest shit if you can't start to reprogram your subconscious. I have every reason to hate men. I really I have every reason under the sun. But I remember when I was starting this process, I started to say, no, I do love man. I don't love the men past that I had to experience with, but I love what a man, a healthy masculine has to offer. Yeah, sign me up for all of that. So that's another one thing, reprogramming your subconscious and then taking actions based on that that honor who you are. Like, even if you start to speak ugly about a man or anyone, is that honoring you? Are you the type of person who speaks ill in that way about others? So you could even like narrow it down almost just on a pure humanistic level beyond female or male. So I would try to tend to view myself from the human perspective first before I even like started to get down to the nitty gritty of gender and all that. So it's just a good way to keep yourself in check and keep your heart open. And also when it comes to self-honor, when you are saying, I am choosing to go to the gym today, I am choosing not to go to the gym today, whatever the case might be, those emotions, I want you to picture them as like notifications, because we are a biological computer. So every time that notification comes up of, oh, that made me feel kind of crappy. Oh, that made me feel really good. Are we ignoring them? Are we letting them pile up? Or are we addressing them and moving on? And then when you do that, you kind of, especially when they start to get really good or when you start to honor and feel good about the choices that you're making, from a feminine standpoint, you start to tap into this kind of queen-like energy. So there's so much happening at the first level. That's why this is so important beyond anything else, because the mind is truly changing. The body is changing in frequency because now you're truly embodying queen energy. You're not letting the past of those men that have hurt you dictate how you view all of mankind. You are starting to have new ideas, new outlooks, new belief systems are starting to finally kind of get together now and mold. You're starting to see that the limitation that you've been in. And I don't know about you, but that first step, I was like, oh, this is queen energy to me. This is very Aphrodite. This is very Cleopatra. I'm going to go with this. So, and for many people, it might be Lilith energy, it might be a dark feminine that you kind of comes out of that. Do whatever resonates for you and feel into that. Whatever it comes the easiest without judgment is probably the way to go. So
Yeah, and I feel really, I like the way that you're phrasing that stuff, because we also talked about how I have the whole I hate men thing that I'm working through right now. And it feels actually good to me to hear something like, I love a healthy man. Like
yeah,
that feels safe to me to say, instead of being like, I love men, and have it be and have it be too general and fake.
yeah,
But I mean, I do love some men, guys. I'm not just like totally like hating men, but I love everything you're saying, and walking into the feminine energy and the queen energy with
oh
that.
yeah. Well, when I would do my walks listening to Abraham Hicks and I'm trying to get in my vortex and she's talking about how does it feel? What kind of relationship do you want? How does it feel? Is it delicious? Is it juicy? Is it sensual? So then I just said, well, how does it feel to be with a healthy masculine man? How does it feel to be with someone who is financially stable and can spend his money great on me? How does it feel to be with someone who can book vacations and know exactly what I like without me having to do this? I would get into like a full sentence of like a scenario of someone. Like don't like get specific. Like some teachers will say don't get specific, but then other ones they do. I say get specific because but drive more on the emotion, not how it looks, not how the package, just how you feel when you're opening the gift and you're like that emotion. Treat it like that. So that's what I would do when I would go for my walks in Jersey City along the skyline, see the New York skyline, and I would imagine just that dynamic and how it would feel to cook dinner for someone who has provider energy, things like that, and lean into that. And then I felt more like a queen just doing that, but leaning into it without judgment, because a lot of us will do that and then feel sorry for ourselves that we don't have it right now. No, you have to lean into it as if it is accessible. The emotion is accessible. It's the very, very early stages. And it sets the tone for all the other steps that I have. So
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm gonna start. That's one thing that I've started to do, and I'm gonna continue. Like when I cook dinner for myself, I pretend and I feel like I'm cooking dinner for somebody else.
Mhm.
And not only do I feel the emotions of good for me, I'm making dinner for myself, like I'm providing this nutritious meal. It's also like now I can serve it to my man, who also has the energy that matches mine, and because he takes care of me in other ways. So
Mhm.
that's an easy way to implement it too for people, instead of just imagining while you're doing, and it goes along with what you were saying, while you're doing the actions, throw that in there.
Oh, 100%. And this leads into like the next two steps I would have, which is like, all right, 3D changes, changing your 3D reality, meaning, all right, I need a new job. Let me start looking for one. I need to redo my apartment. I redid my complete apartment after me and my ex broke up. It went from like this industrial field to looking like Aphrodite lived there because pastel colors. I made sure it was just reeking of feminine energy. It
Mm-hmm.
was so important because your environment is really going to dictate how you're feeling when you're by yourself. It's your vibe. It's your sanctuary. It's your portal of manifestation, because usually you don't have to do much, especially when you're leaning into feminine energy. Softness is there's power in softness. I don't have to sweat. I don't need to
Mm-mm.
get my hands dirty to get what I want. This is the power of the feminine, almost like very black cat energy. Black cats are not hassling you for food. They train you. Like it's this
I am my
silent.
cat's bitch, and she's a black cat.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But do you see like how cats are, how they get their way. They're graceful, but they're strong at the same time. This is the type of feminine energy to tap into. So if like you're going into changing your 3D reality, like, all right, I've changed my apartment. I've done all the 3D things that I want so I can wake up and see things I like, and I've shopped and I've bought new clothes that make me feel more a woman. But what can I compare this to in terms of like how I carry myself? And for me, it was a cat. And I had my cat too. My dear friend Ryan took my cat, but I gave it to him, so he adopted him, and all is well.
I
But
was gonna ask about that.
yeah, so and he even says too, he's like, "Wow, this cat is my greatest teacher," and I'm like, I think cats are. So that leads then into the third step, which is embodiment. So yes, embodying this energy. So just to recap too, so we have self honor, 380 changes, and then now we're embodying. So for embodiment, this means to me that yes, you have to act as though it's already here, right? You have to act as though you already have it. But when you're going to the grocery store, when you are doing your laundry, when you are just, I don't know, doing any type of errand, how are you carrying yourself when you walk down a street? In those instances that even seem like they mean nothing. I don't know about you, but I would do my laundry, go grocery shopping. I would have my jewelry, my shades. I would make sure I was, even if it was like, if I was in sweatpants, I was matching. I carried myself like someone who deserves everything. And not because I did anything, but just because I'm alive. Because to me, I truly believe if we're if we're existing, we deserve all that existence can give us of the Most High. If we carry ourselves with the highest intention, of course. But I would start to embody that person who is married, who has this very feminine life. And how would I go about my day? Then it goes into cooking for myself as well. I would do the same thing. I would cook like a 3-course meal for myself, have my wine. I would wear either the cute lingerie, and I would wear it just for me or my cat, or my silk kimono. I would wear that. I'm watching Will and Grace. It's a vibe. Have a little bit of cannabis. I'm good. I would feel like goddess like energy. Like I feel like, oh, this is so easy. This is so just fluid. And also, when it came to embodiment, one of the biggest downloads I ever had while I was vibing with myself, I felt like my higher self put me in check because this thought of, do you realize that you are the first woman in your family to live like this? Because a lot of the women in my family moved out when they were married, had to be married. They had children. None of them had a really single hot girl summer season, nothing like that. And I started to feel like this immense like gratitude and just like, wow. And yeah, I'm doing this not just for me, but for the divine feminine that's in my blood. And that really put me into a state of intense gratitude. Everything does in these steps, like there's gratitude layers, but when you really focus on like that, like zooming out, holy shit, like, uh, yeah, the ups and downs, because you're going to have them in the process. One day you have good days, one day bad days, but that instantly would put me in check into neutrality, if not a very, very good mood. So thinking beyond just the physical can also really help.
Yeah, and that's beautiful because in a way of you doing those acts, you're also, like you were saying, you're getting rid of the generational trauma of the women in your family. I've been doing the same exact thing because it's my life mirrors yours. No woman I know in my family has enjoyed being single in their 40s, has been doing what they want to do, has been presenting themselves as they truly are. And I feel like I'm learning so much from listening to you because I'm in that space where I'm creating more feminine energy and I'm creating a better life for myself. And it's reassuring to know that some of the steps I'm doing are
Yeah,
correct.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's it's whatever is coming easy, and whatever doesn't feel like so much resistance or struggle. I find that's, if there's a choice, go with that. Not out of laziness. It's more of like, I'm done thinking this way about myself. I'm done. I've done that road of like do, worry, worry, worry. No, we're gonna try something different this time. And that's basically what I've indulged myself, immersed myself in this whole process. But going back to embodiment as well, I think is important, because when you start to embody future you, or the you that you want to be in that relationship or in that future, opportunities are going to start to emerge. So I had an opportunity when I was talking to you, when we met in May, that came up where I got to be a speaker at an event in California. And this was like client years ago, like a couple of years ago, early pandemic time. And they remembered me on a project. I worked with them, and they wanted me to host their event, like be like the master of ceremonies. And I was like, okay, because they were going to pay really well. Again, so it was just money too. I was like, oh, okay, this is easy. You're going to pay for me to fly to California and do all this. Wonderful. And embodiment. So when I got to California, I'm in my element. It was like the person I was walking as and being in Jersey City in my shoebox, in my apartment, whether I was out or, just vibing with my cat, was on display, and I was in the middle of it, and I was playing, and it was so good. And I was myself. It was like, here is the stage. The universe was like, okay, here's the opportunity for you to really be authentically you right here. We're giving it to you. The spotlight is literally on you. After that event, I was at the happy hour there, talking to a couple of speakers, people at our table, and I'm talking to this one guy for a while. We end up talking the whole night. Everyone slowly is dropping away. We're the last people there. This is now my fiancé. So when I say embodiment is critical, it is because embodiment is going to lead you to opportunities that are almost asking you to prove and to show that you're committed, that you are it, that you are that frequency, that you are not walking with that same fear or limiting beliefs anymore. And you're not going to be prepared for when the change then happens, which is the final step, the unknown. You have to just be in your essence, and be in your authenticity for the unknown, where to me is all the juice of life. You're not supposed to know. Even in terms of romanticism or romantics, being romantic or the idea of romance is to be seduced. You want to know when you're going to be seduced? You want to know, you want to play by play? You want to be surprised. There's an element of surprise. And that's the whole act of seduction. So embodying the unknown after you've already embodying this person that you're now becoming, the unknown is like almost like, can I romance you? Can you let me seduce you? Can you let me surprise
idea.
You? Yeah.
Yes. Let me be seduced, please.
Yeah. So and then leaning in more into the unknown. Obviously, he's from Sweden, and having a long distance relationship was easier than I thought, because we both were remote working, so we could spend longer amounts of time together. A year into our relationship, he proposed in Iceland. We went to Iceland and proposed under a waterfall. Could not have imagined a better proposal. Like, what? And
so
then
nice.
Yeah. Then the wedding is in July, and it's
in a
at
castle.
Yeah.
You really embody that queen energy. Look at you getting
Right?
the proposal underneath the waterfall, getting the wedding in a castle.
I couldn't believe it. As it's happening too, that's also when you're like, holy shit, I just did this. Like, I know I didn't literally physically do it, but I did so much in working with the field and working with the quantum in the unknown, where everything has proven to be true. Everything has proven to work. And another important call out, I think, is as women go through this, I think we hear a lot about the law of attraction. We always hear like a lot about the good things when we commit our mind to, but a very real, not bad, but just very real aspect is you are going to have moments where you're like, this is hard. You are going to have moments where you're like, I don't know, I'm going to be alone forever. This is not going to work. I'm crazy. I should have just done this. Those are normal thoughts. Do not judge yourself in the process. The worst thing you can do is ignore them. in my opinion. I mean, I had nights where I just wanted to like crawl out of my skin if I could. If someone had give me a button, boom, I can't do this. Like I would just feel so uncomfortable, so many different emotions at once. So just so low.
Mhm.
And the next day you can wake up and you're like, oh, I feel great today. It will
Yes.
pass.
You got to let it out. And I also feel like those are the times that, because I indulge in the cannabis, I don't drink, but I always make sure I'm sober when I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through something like that, because you want to make sure that you can fully feel it in
Yeah.
order to be able to release it. You don't want to be masking it with any kind of band-aid.
No, I completely agree because when I felt really good and I would smoke or something or have an edible. When I felt really good and I had so much clarity, it actually made me realize more things about when I wasn't feeling good. Like,
Hmm.
when that day you were sad, do you know this is why? And did you learn? And I'm learning it now from a higher state, literally and figuratively speaking. But yeah, so I noticed that as well because I didn't want to do anything like that if I felt kind of down. It's just like drinking when you feel bad. It's just going to not be a good time.
Hmm.
You're not going to be able to dissect it. You're not going to have the same level of awareness to really learn from that experience. So yeah, 100% agree. But yeah, it's a time. The unknown is like the best part. So even now, living here in Sweden, some people would look at it, oh, okay, you did all the things. And for me, it's like, this is a whole new chapter. This is a whole new
Yeah,
beginning.
this is just the beginning
This is
now.
still the beginning. I'm like, oh my God. And now it's now a new level in the game. The other one was level, I don't know, 5, but now we're at level 6
Hmm.
and new rules, but the same tools apply. So I still have to continuously nurture the divine feminine. I still have to really lean into that. I still do it. And now I don't do it for the sake of like survival or a sake of like a need. Now it's more of a way of connecting more with myself. So that transitions as well. Even the approach to the practices change. And now I'm really, really like enjoying it because now I feel like I'm discovering this new person that I embodied, and I'm like, holy shit, hi, nice to meet you every day. And it's just more and more and growing and growing. So the divine feminine, in my opinion, is like this miraculous experience of truly it's alignment, it's groundedness, of course, but it is such a softness with yourself, especially if you've ever spoken ill about yourself. You're like, oh, I hate the way I look or whatever. I will never say those things about myself again now. I love who I am. I love who I see when I look in the mirror. I I'm grateful for this body temple that I have as a woman. I've never had this level of appreciation for my body and who I am, my hair, all this. I don't complain anymore about anything because that would be such a disservice now after all the work I've done and all the highs and lows, after all the teachings, after all the evidence of it working.
I
No,
mean,
I
you
will
can't
not.
dispute the evidence of it working.
No,
You
not
can't,
at
because
all.
it's given you more than you could ever imagine. And that's uh, the universe will give you, like, that's one thing with manifesting. I'm sure you feel the same way, that you can't put yourself in a box of these are the 10 things that I want, and this is how I want them to appear, and this is how
Mm-hmm.
I want them to come in.
Yep.
um you have to let the universe create, and you have to let the universe deliver more than you could
Yes.
ever expect.
And usually what you're saying too isn't really like the highest of the high. Sometimes we're a bit modest with ourselves.
Hmm.
Well, I just want this. I just want this. Well, I just want a boyfriend. You can have a boyfriend, but
Yeah, that doesn't
it,
mean he's going to be
it doesn't.
good.
No, I just want to get married. Well, you can, but is that really going to be a marriage that is sustainable, that is for your highest growth? Is just a partner who is emotionally intelligent? All of these things. So you don't ask for fast food when you want Michelin star quality. The Michelin star is going to take longer in the kitchen. Let the ingredients marinate. Let the universe do what it has to do. Because when you get it, it's going to be so worth it, as opposed to just wanting a shortcut all the time. So Michelin star only, baby.
Michelin star. That's gonna be my thoughts. I'm gonna be like, let the universe marinate, even though you've had 8 years to do it. Now that I'm in alignment with it, it's finally gonna come and be delivered. Oh, I love all of that. Do you have
Yeah.
any last little nugget for people to like, if someone is starting this process and they're not in a great spot and they're like, okay, everything sounds great, I can do this, but it feels really overwhelming, what is one tiny step that you think they can do to begin this process of believing, I guess, in the universe and manifesting?
Well, I would say if someone's saying, "Oh, that sounds great," but I find it really overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What are you believing in that is making even just this process sound overwhelming? What are you buying into? What idea are you buying into? What belief systems do you have that is reinforcing the idea that it's hard to buy into? And or my favorite is I don't really trust it will work. How do I know this is gonna if I do all this? I lack trust. No, you don't, because you already are trusting the fact that you lack trust to begin with. So you are already trusting. You're just choosing to trust in this path and not the other. So if you're already using the energy of trusting in the fact that this is something that you might not be able to trust in, well, you might as well just trust that it will work. That sounds like a lot less steps and a lot less energy. It sounds like flow. Go down the path of least resistance. So to anyone who finds it overwhelming, you really have to start with your ideas on life and your belief system. You got to get real with yourself. And there might be moments where you realize, oh shit, this is not my thought. This was my mom's thought. This is what I was told as a kid. Oh, this is what the first boy who broke my heart, what he made me believe. I mean, I had an ex-boyfriend who told me if I ever had tattoos, that would make me ugly.
What?
I don't know about you, but
I
I
love
said, F
them.
that. I said, forget this. Why did I believe that idea? So you really have to look at it and don't blame yourself. The reason why it's going to be overwhelming is because you're kind of almost blaming yourself at the same time. Don't do that. Really evaluate your belief system without judgment. And what I say without judgment is because if you had to have a conversation with the universe, God, source, whatever, do you really think they're going to judge you? Do you think the universe is going to judge you that harshly to that capacity? This all loving, neutral energy that there is. So why are you doing it to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you bypass that, that's when you can take the practical steps with the right approach. Yeah, really, really analyze your belief system and the ideas that you're buying into, journal it through, and do that for a few months, 3 to 6 months, and then start to really tackle the rest of the work.
I think that's very practical,
Yeah.
honestly. I think it's really important because a lot of our belief systems are from past experiences. A lot of our thoughts in our mind are from what people said when we were growing
Mm-hmm.
up. It's not even us, and it's not even true.
Yeah,
So to examine those thoughts and to challenge those thoughts is because you're already
absolutely.
believing in something, just switch what you're believing in. You're believing it won't work. You have it. You have the system in you.
Exactly. If you trust that it won't work, you still have the ability to trust. You
Yeah.
still have the ability to see that maybe it can. It's a small switch. So just let go of the ego and the pride in that regard and dive in, get in that flow state.
Yeah, it's the scariness of the unknown and allowing things to happen that you don't like have quote unquote control of is what I feel like get to people. But thank you. I think this was really enlightening. And I
Good,
think
I'm
it
glad.
is going to be very helpful to the listener. So tell them how they can find you if they want to connect a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube at Parker Phoenix. That's the name of the channel. There, I talk about similar messages like this, always talking about divine feminine messages and outlooks and teachings. But I also share a bit of my life in Sweden and how I'm navigating here because it's an interesting, different. Love it so far. So you could follow me on there and subscribe. And I'm also on Instagram, TikTok. I'm on there as well, all at Parker Phoenix.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. And thank you
Thank
guys for
you.
listening. All of Alysha's information will be in the info of the podcast and the description. So you can just click on those links, go find her. I hope to see you at our next podcast. Listeners, thank you so much for continuing to show up for me as I show myself in my authenticity. So I will see you all soon.
Bye.